Good evening to the Monday, June 2nd Select Board meeting. To my left is Flo Smith, Vince Conti. To my right is Carolyn Nuizel, Tor Nelson. I'm Joe Stoughton. Additions or deletions to the agenda?
I'd like to add peddler's permit ordinance and discussion on the town hall leaking roof.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that after what?
Read it at the end.
Okay. Any public comments? No public comments. Right away permits, Brookfield Road. And Payne Turnpike North.
Two of them. First one is for Seth Laffel on Brookfield Road. Wants to improve the existing logging road that's there now, making it into a driveway. Tim met with them today. There's quite a bit of ledge that the owner will need to remove and then install a 30-foot long by 18-inch culvert for the driveway. Other than that, Tim is fine with the application as presented.
Is there any comments or discussion on the right-of-way permit?
The owner's willing to do what Tim recommended?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Straightforward, I think.
I make the motion to approve the permit for Seth LaFalle as presented to us this evening with the inclusion of what Tim Davis Jr. has indicated and the owner's willing to do.
I second it. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Say
Aye.
Opposed? We have another,
The second one is from Eustace Cable Enterprises. This is work that was done a couple of weeks ago in front of the hotel without a permit. Replacing some conduit, internet conduit going to the hotel on behalf of Comcast. So they were contacted, or they did submit a permit application
after the fact.
after the fact, yeah, 2 weeks after the fact.
I make the motion to approve the permit for Eustace Cable Enterprises to cure the situation as presented.
Second.
If there's no more discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So, just a question, is this something we wanna think about penalizing people for? If we're doing, this is happening a lot. Is there a penalty?
What have we done in
There
the
is.
past?
There's provisions in state statute to penalize them. I think it's upwards of $1,000.
Cause this has happened
Potentially,
like 3
but
times
it's-
with some of the commercial development that's gone on in the last few years.
In fact, they started digging even before they called DigSafe on top of it. But
Just a question maybe we wanna think about.
So would we have that discussion here, now, or do we?
I'll look at, I wrote it on my list, I'll look at the statute and see what it says and what, just, I'll give you some more information.
Okay. Ordinance draft, alarm ordinance update.
So I think we pretty much gone through all this, I guess the biggest question still remains the registration. We charge a $75 fee for an initial registration, and then no fee for annual updates, renewals, I guess, renewals. Because biggest concern at that point is making sure we have updated contact information and that the system has been inspected and maintained during the course of the year.
And so then, any of the fees for the nuisance alarms?
Well, the penalties would
The
still be,
penalties,
the penalties would still be in effect, just the registration fee itself
Okay,
would be a one-time $75 fee.
Are these fees the ones that I had in there from the other town?
Yes.
Or so did we wanna consider changing those? I think you talked about that.
I think we should
Yeah.
probably have them changed, probably take them out of the ordinance, and allow them to be changed without changing the ordinance at a later date, would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's not
I
a bad
don't know
idea.
how well that would be doable.
And you could just reference that document, which then had the penalties.
Which I would think would still have to be an ordinance, so you'd have to go through the same process to update it as you would the ordinance itself.
Okay.
I think you would have to for a fee.
Mhm.
I don't think you can just, I mean, we would anyway, we'd vote on it, so it's probably, I think Tourist Point is probably, cause I was thinking of agreeing with him, but now I'm thinking he's right. If we have to modify the,
If you modify a fee, you're gonna have to go through the same process, whether it's in
Yeah.
the ordinance or
Or
a
whether it's-
standalone document,
yeah.
it's gonna be the same.
It's true.
so I think the question is, where do we wanna start at this point? Like, is this too high? It's, this was, what was it, based on Woodstocks, I think.
This is quite a bit higher, well, the false alarm is $400 waiver penalty. Which I think is quite a bit higher than what we have in our existing, which is
Yes,
100 or 150.
yeah.
Okay, so there's one free, penalty for the second and subsequent alarm system. $600. Second. So for the fire department, it's one fee, and then for all other emergency responders, it's a different fee, is that what this means?
Where are you?
B
one and
on
two.
page,
Page 2? 3, actually. Isn't it? No,
Yes, I know, it doesn't- yeah.
5.
Section 8, P
yeah,
1 and B 2. So 2 would be for basically fire department fees.
Yeah.
Of course, they may want it higher themselves, but
you mean one, right? And then 2 is if it was police or first responders, is that?
yeah, B1 is fire department.
Yeah,
B2 is police.
Does that make it too convoluted?
Kinda makes
I don't
sense though,
think so.
cause if you have to go, I mean, the police are on duty, but if you have to go, and the fire response should be more, don't you think? Maybe
Well-
not that much more, but more. I mean, obviously not all are,
So what are you trying to do here? You're not, it's not the revenue that you're looking to get.
no, but
Okay.
to discourage and encourage maintaining systems.
Yes.
To discourage false alarms by maintaining systems, I guess.
And I could see both of them being, whatever they are, being the same.
I guess,
I mean,
it just seems as though it's more, if the police get called, they're on duty, right?
they're on duty, they're on the
Or
road.
they're on
Yeah.
call, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, their response is gonna be, a less cost.
and they're being paid,
They're getting, it's a less cost to the town,
yeah.
you know, for their cruiser to respond to with one. Now, if you're gonna be, you have an alarm, and the fire department's gonna be responding with one or two, or whatever that is, with a number of people, it's a greater cost to the town, as far as maintenance and fuel and everything else, if you just add it all up. So it is a greater cost.
Yeah,
It's also tougher to determine the cause of a police department alarm. I mean, if it's user error, somebody, you know, set the code and didn't lock the door quick enough, okay, that's known. If it's a power outage, okay, well, that's known. If it's a mouse running around inside of the building and sets off motion detectors, but all the, you know, they get there and all the outside doors are locked. Is it really a false alarm, or
Right.
you'll never be able to make that determination?
but that brings up a good point, like if you respond, do you know that it was a false alarm, or do you still have to go through the process of looking through the building to make sure there's no?
You're looking through the building, you're up on the roof looking in the air handlers. You're going through all that. So you can have an alarm which is not a false alarm, but it could still be a nuisance alarm.
Yeah,
I was gonna bring that up.
So-
Burnt popcorn.
Yes.
Did you anticipate burnt popcorn being included in this ordinance?
As much as the burnt baked potato, of which I've gone to before. Sure.
I mean, I do think, well, obviously this is mostly commercial on activity anyway, but, right?
Right.
Are we doing it for private alarms, residential alarms?
So there are some private residence alarms that they have. No, I feel that this could be a registration. I don't necessarily know. I've never gone to
I mean,
false alarms
I
on
mean,
a
I have a
resident.
security system, but, I really said it, but, I guess I shouldn't say that.
On her address right now.
You don't need
We
it
know
anymore.
But I have
Sit
it,
down, Jim, you're not going anywhere.
and I'm just thinking, well, so I had the, well, that's a horror story. Yeah, I've never, you have the call, you get the call, so
Yeah.
typically if there's a false alarm, you don't, you nip it in the bud, but, and before they actually call, put it through to the police.
Are we overthinking this?
Yeah.
I think so.
But again, what's the intent? It's to discourage false alarms, right?
Yes.
So the first one, there's no charge.
Right.
Right.
The second one, within a 12-month period, there is, unless they had basically a maintenance check done on their system. So
Sure.
if they keep their system up, so they don't get false alarms after that, there's no charge anyway.
Right.
So we want to discourage
So wait, they
having
don't
to
get-
charge them.
So they don't get charged if they've had maintenance done?
That's correct.
For the
It
second
says,
one?
it says, after a 12-month period, following a first alarm, the alarm system user has submitted a written report in conformance with section 7 above, right? If they haven't done a report, had maintenance done and done a report, and they get another alarm, then they get charged. But if they have a report saying, no, after that first alarm, I had the system checked, it's all good, or they found something and fixed it,
Oh, okay.
They don't
If
get charged.
the report has not been submitted, the following shall apply, okay.
And
gotcha.
what do we
So
build
the-
in if
what-
they don't pay, in terms of a time frame? Is that built in
these-
here as well?
For these penalties?
Mm-hmm,
just goes into.
Well, these penalties, they're through the judicial bureau.
okay.
So we wanna encourage them, after the first alarm, get your system checked,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
the penalty should be
Definitely.
more than the cost of getting the system checked. Cause they're gonna say, oh, it's gonna be cheaper for me just to get my system checked to make sure I'm good,
That's a good point.
right? Right? If we charge them $50 and it's gonna cost them $150 to get their maintenance check done on it,
We'll pay the $50.
that's it. We'll just pay the $50 and we'll let it keep going.
That's a good point.
So that's my thoughts on it.
I mean, I don't think these are that high. I mean, $600, but so the waiver fee is if you pay directly and don't go through the judicial bureau. What does that mean exactly?
If you, yeah, if you
You
just
don't-
pay it, you do not contest it,
Don't contest it. Okay.
then the penalty, if you contest it and found guilty, then it can go up to $600.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think
John, it's
that's.
just gonna be the waiver fee anyway.
And then 700 for unregistered. I don't know. Do you want to wait until next time to compare it to others, or do you want to? I don't know. Do we want to do something with this tonight, or are we?
What's your pleasure?
Did we need to discuss section 5, the highlighted section here? Is there anything we needed to touch on with that?
So the only thing that's stating here and that highlighted, that's on the second page, right?
Right.
Okay, so we had a different vendor,
Mhm.
which was different than the Knox box.
Knox box,
We
okay.
have a Knox box, an account where now, whoever the contractor would then go in and purchase their own. Instead of the fire department, before this happened, the fire department would make the purchase and then try and recoup the money for the cost of the box from the contractor. And it was just a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
So, now, if you're building a building and you want a lockbox, it's gonna be, you go to the Knox box, I give them the website, they go in and they make the payment, they get it. We get notifications that, one, somebody has placed an order for the town of Berlin, and two, when it gets delivered. And at that point, I'm waiting for somebody to contact the fire department saying, okay, where do you want it? We'll have those discussions anyway. So that's where we're at with Central Vermont Solid Waste Department, or solid,
Regimental fee.
yes.
So why is this highlighted?
Well, because I think we're putting in Knox box in there instead of, it can't be just any lockbox unless it's been approved. But yet we wanted to make sure that we have those the kitty lock boxes that are currently out there. We wanted to make sure we incorporated those. And now, moving forward after that date, which was January 1st,
Do we need to say that though? Because it says it has to be approved.
well, the approved part was prior to the July 1st, or January 1st.
No, but I'm saying if we put this sentence in that says no key lockbox system shall be used, operated, or maintained. Oh, we could say installed, used, operated, or maintained in the town of Berlin has not been approved by the chief of the Berlin Fire Department. Then we don't have to have that. I'm just thinking if you change brands again, or if something changes again, you don't have to change this.
Okay.
Just a thought. I don't know if that would happen.
Well, this came from the discussion within the fire department saying, how do we make sure to incorporate everything that's currently out there and then moving towards what we changed.
Well, you could
for
say
a
as
vendor.
of January 1 will be Knox. You could say something like, but but this could be subject to change or something. You could add a sentence that just says this isn't set in stone, it just has to be approved by the chief.
Okay,
Or you could say will be a Knox or a system approved by the chief again.
okay.
I don't know, maybe we need to,
And I was gonna suggest on page 5 down at the bottom, pulling C, that's at the bottom, just pulling C over to the top of the next
Next
page,
page.
which will also put section 13 to the top of the following page. Those are just 2 quick suggestions, very easy.
There's actually section 13 you can take out.
Okay. Making
That's-
section 14,
That's part of
13.
the, yeah, because that's part of the normal ordinance adoption process anyway.
Okay.
has the police department looked at it?
Not yet.
So I guess are we gonna wait then? I think we should
Yeah.
wait, yeah, okay.
Do we wanna change the verbiage on that highlighted area? We can.
My writing skills deteriorate rapidly after 3 p.m. in the afternoon, so I try to write in the morning. So I will try in the morning. Take a go at it.
So can,
Maybe you would just say or and approved,
Yeah,
just at the bottom,
that's what,
and
that,
remove that first sentence.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna suggest. As of January 1st, 2025, all lockbox systems will be a Knox box rapid entry system manufactured by the Knox company or an approved equivalent or an equivalent approved by the chief of the Berlin Fire Department.
yeah, that works.
That covers both.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep,
I concur.
Yeah, that works.
And if there's ever a change, it's equivalent, chief approves it, done.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that works.
We don't need to
Good job, Vince.
change anything.
Well done.
all after 3
Now I have a
p.m.
headache though.
Sweet.
I don't even send emails.
Had to think too hard on that.
So we'll clean that up and maybe send it off to
Mhm.
Chief Pomprielli.
Good.
Thank you. Personnel policies continued. Yes.
So we're looking at IT. Inputs into personnel policy starting about 2/3 of the way down, 6.17. Have you all had a chance to look at these? Any suggestions,
God,
additions,
I
deletions?
can't even remember, sure, I'm sorry. But I'll, I think I read this one and thought it sounded okay. It sounded good. Good night.
Thank
Good
you
night.
for being
Is that
here
all you
tonight.
needed?
You missed a, you came to,
That was
Oh,
it?
cross game we're gonna go.
Oh, enjoy.
Good luck.
I'm fine with the way it's written, not sure how others feel.
Points we can massage, but
Overall captures what I'm looking for, right?
So their computers don't automatically hibernate after, let's say, minutes? I mean, it's,
There's a setting for that,
the
Yeah.
screen goes blind. But,
okay. They would still have to sign back in.
right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, so I was just reading this for, 90 minutes should be shut down or logged off. I'm just wondering if it goes into hibernation, is it really locked out?
yeah,
Okay.
you have to log back in, put your password and all that. That's okay. Should be set at a timeout at 20 minutes requiring password to reactivate.
How many laptops do we have anyway? Are they all laptops?
Everybody has one now.
I'm fucking out here.
How many of them are cabled down?
Done.
Not a lot.
How many are what?
Locked with a cable.
Cabled. I do have a question on the personnel policy from something that we talked about a couple of revisions ago. Just, the conversation came back into my head unfortunately, and should we relook at the town highway crew section of it for time? Because they work different hours in the summer and winter, it's a little bit different than the regular staff. I'm just wondering if it's time to consider separating them out with their own set of rules in how that's all done.
Meaning,
I gotta look again, I had some notes and I forgot to bring them, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I'll bring them the next time, but I just wanted to get the feeling if it's something that we think we should look at. I think it was, they were bundled in with the hours working and the earned paid time off, or something in that area. And I don't know if it's worth Initially, I thought it might be worth having the conversation if they should be separate now, cause they work different hours, summer, winter, than the normal staff does.
Right.
I don't know. I'll
Oh,
take
that's
another look at
articulated
it.
in the personnel policy, but,
Was it?
yeah.
Alright, I'll take
But
another
that during the
look.
summer, they're on the 10-hour days.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's in there. Unless you're talking about something else.
yeah, I think it was earned time off for it though, how it was calculated. It was something
Well,
around that,
yeah,
I'll get
I
more
mean,
specifics,
Yeah,
I'll,
because I mean, they're still
yeah.
working a 40-hour week, so I don't know
Yeah.
that.
yeah. There was something, it's not coming to me, but I made a note, I said, I gotta
Okay.
ask a question just to see, but. Alright, I'll get some specifics on that again. I can't remember what it was now, but there was something there. I thought, I think this one's pretty good. I'm pretty okay with it.
Is there any more discussion? Questions?
Not for me.
Town garage bids.
So hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at the town garage bids.
I did not, I confess. I totally forgot about it until this morning, and I did not get away from my house, my office to get here. But I am not opposed to
Didn't
you.
have your code set, that's why. You won't.
But I am willing to defer to those of you that have if we wanna make a decision.
So Tim and Craig went on a little tour of a couple places today. They went up to St. Albans, Georgia, and Milton. Looked at their facilities. And they've also looked at all of them. The bid from Weirman Lamphir, which is the top one there, seems to be the consensus of the best all-around proposal. It's not quite the lowest bid, but they did work on a lot of the other garages and have been very receptive to questions and stuff, so that is their recommendation for proceeding forward.
It definitely has a fluff in it.
No, they all do, but yeah.
I saw that in all. It was an impressive proposal.
It was.
And for all those reasons just mentioned and the fact that they went and visited those, that's good. And I trust their opinions as
Pass
well.
that. Just in case.
And the municipalities that have used wiremen on their projects was very impressed with them. They good recommendations to say about them.
Oh, that's good.
I was gonna say, they all pretty much are gonna be doing the same thing. One of them, and I think towards the tail end, I think I missed it, as far as being able to answer the questions of the people bidding on the project, that they would make themselves available. I kinda like that, and I think I might have lost seeing that in all, the last few. I mean, there's like 10 of them.
9.
9?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I looked at one twice.
I read all of them in their entirety and it was an hour and a half. I read all of
You
it.
read them all in an hour and a half?
It was very quiet,
pretty
very
good.
I
peaceful and.
skimmed them in an hour and a half.
I was gonna say,
I
didn't
love
read
reading,
one.
I read a lot, so.
I do too, but I don't think I would have done it that quickly.
Well, you asked for the top 2 or 3, and Wyman was one of my top 3 as well.
Okay.
For what it's worth, that was,
Who are the other two?
you know, I didn't think Cross was that bad.
They're consistently in the top 3 here.
Yep, and they're one of the lowest as well, if not, no, they are the lowest. Right?
I think they were, yeah.
Yeah, 208.
Mhm.
Well, they have done a lot of town facilities. Or at least this guy has.
Right, yeah.
I think I went with 4 because I couldn't choose just 3. But I didn't bring my list, I just left you a little sticky.
And I never found that.
Oh, it was right, like right on your, either your mouse or right on the edge of your desk. Maybe sitting right there
Uh-oh.
still, a little yellow sticky.
So I'll make the motion to award the contract to Wyman Lampier.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Seems none. Do we want, what is the cost on that? What was their bid price?
$263,250.
So this was one of the lower ones, there wasn't one over 500?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. They seem to have good.
If there's no more discussion, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Peddlers,
So I just include a copy in your packet, taking a look at this. I think it's right to start thinking about updating this, so I wanted to give it to you to take a look at, start getting thoughts on, when it was last updated in 1987, authorizing statutes have changed. And I'll have some, I'm coming with some of the other peddlers permits from other towns, so you can take a look at,
Yep.
see what needs to be updated.
There was a book, binder, that had a number of procedures, policies and things like that in it. Did you look in that one by any chance to see if there was a draft version of this? I seem to recall working on this one way back when.
Not that I remember seeing.
No? Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. If we did, I thought there was a draft done way back when it maybe never got finalized, but just trying to save you a little work if there's one out there. I'll try to take a look as well. But, yeah, no, yeah.
So it's just to get that on your radar screen.
Yeah.
Mhm, thank you.
in the town, the roof.
The roof. It's not on fire, but had a leak over the weekend with all the
Okay.
rain on the police department side.
Yeah.
So,
We had a lot of high winds, did we not? I mean, I wasn't in town for like four or 5 days. But I know some trees down.
It was a bit of wind. It wasn't super, but the other was some wind.
Okay. Never had
So
a leak
gonna-
there before?
I'm sorry?
We never had a leak there before?
No, so, guys can come and look at it this week, but chances are, just like everything else in this building, probably need to start thinking about a new roof at some point.
Do we know how old our roof is? Doesn't look awful,
I don't know.
but I don't ever remember seeing the roof being done either. So, it's probably at its life. They're gonna come in and inspect it and temporarily patch it if it needs to be.
Yeah.
And at that
Put
point,
some rain shield down and
yeah,
replace some shingles if they need it, but. I think big things taking over, taking a big inspection of the overall roof and seeing what its condition is.
Did we get a facilities needs grant, did we not? We applied, right, for the municipal, to do a facilities needs assessment? Did we ever, and the,
I
There's-
don't think so.
I know I don't think we got it. I think we applied 2 years in a row to the planning commission, we didn't get it. But I didn't know if anything had happened since then, cause I thought this was talked about, having a complete look at. Did
This
the
building.
Economic Development Committee do that?
Yes, I think that's
They
maybe
did.
what you're thinking, they did.
They passed it off to the planning commission, I don't think planning commission has done
Okay.
anything with it yet.
I mean, I'm just thinking big picture, like it speaks to the, what are we gonna do?
That's more like on the space needs.
That's what I mean though,
Right,
but
yeah.
if we're gonna do anything with that, obviously you don't wanna invest
And
some money
that's kind of my concern, I don't wanna
Yeah.
put a lot of money into this building
if it's
If we're
not,
gonna do something.
if we're gonna tear it
Yeah.
down and.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cause I think the police department alone needs more space in this entire building. Has, well, so they say, but.
so
It's
we'll
just
know
a
more
building.
when it gets inspected.
Yeah.
I mean, the police station in Montpelier, is that bigger than this building? I'm just
Square
wondering-
I
footage?
don't know,
Just
they're,
wondering what the need for that much space is.
they're a couple floors, but.
Are they
They're
two floors?
two
Maybe,
stories,
yeah.
they're at least 2 stories, I don't know, 2 stories in a basement?
Maybe. They probably do have a basement. Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure, I'm not
They
sure.
or they might not.
Yeah,
Just curious what drives the needs and how to assess that neutrally, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you can think you need a lot of space, but do you really need a lot of space?
Well, okay, so you can have space and have it not be usable space,
Yeah,
or configured
yeah,
appropriately.
Mm.
So, square footage, I'm sure it's enough space.
yeah. I mean, it might require more work internally than it would,
an
Yeah.
interior
then it would,
remodel,
might as
but,
well just tear it down and start over. Anyway, that's not
know.
what we're here to talk about, just curious if cause I thought we had done some sort of needs assessment.
there was, yes, you're absolutely correct.
So they're scheduled to come in
This week.
this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Approval of warrants in minutes.
I make the motion to approve payroll warrant 25-24 for payroll from May 18th, 2025 to May 31st, 2025, to be paid on June 4th, 2025 in the amount of $71,710.58, and also payable warrant 25G23 with check number 24976 to 25025 in the amount of $102,833.75.
There's
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes, so we have May 5th and May 19th.
Not able to motion on May 5th, I wasn't present.
I'll make a motion to accept Monday, May 5th, 2025 Select Board minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, edits? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The May 19th minutes?
So I just wanna point out Lori's name, so this is Lori Bain, Loriebayne, that's her name.
B-A-Y-N-E.
And there's an E on the end of Lori. I think that's the one.
I make the motion to move the minutes of Monday, May 19th with the changes aforementioned by Carla,
I'll
as
second.
presented.
Any other edits, questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Roundtable, Flo?
The only thing I was going to ask is whether we wanted to have further discussion on Lori Bain, who came and discussed the home on Junction Road, if there was any circling back to that we want to do at this point.
I called her
Oh,
today,
Good.
and told her that, I had put out some feelers of the state in terms of potential, sort of, it's mitigation funding that happens in anticipation of damage, and then the one thing that I wondered about, I haven't heard back from anybody, at this point, but, the other thing that occurred to me after as I was speaking to her was that this sort of island that's built up, it probably requires an act of Congress to get somebody to actually move that. Is that like a Army Corps of Engineer thing or A&R? I mean, I don't know.
Did she indicate
All of
if
the above,
anything had
probably.
happened
Yeah.
since she'd been here? Like,
No, nothing's
So
happened.
nothing that she's done or anyone else has come and looked at it?
No,
Nothing since our
she's
discussion
waiting
with
for, and I indicated to her, Joe and I had talked, and we told her that we would meet her down there at some point in the next week or so. So I was gonna ask you what night might be good or whether the weekend was better, and then I was gonna call her back. I did indicate that she wasn't on the agenda, so there was no need for her to come to the meeting, so she thanked me for that, and, for letting her know.
Thank you
And,
very much.
and that I had, told her I'd reached out, put some feelers out to see if there was any potential, cause I told her that the funding that comes along with mitigation from a flood has to be at a declared disaster date, and it has, the deadlines have passed. So, which, cause I did look into that, so there's no mitigation money based on it happening during the flood at this point. The only thing would be is if it was something that could happen in anticipation of further damage based on either the road or the leach field, failing. So I'm just seeing if I'm looking, Googling things and sending feelers out and just seeing if I get anything back.
Mhm. Thank you. The other
So-
thing I was just gonna ask is if we're still planning an event this Thursday night, if that is still.
Well, you read my
or-
mind today, those were the two things on my list.
Oops, sorry.
No, that's gonna be canceled.
It is gonna be canceled.
Joe scheduled another meeting that night.
That was is that the community forum we were talking
Right,
about?
right.
So that's canceled.
I'm very
Yeah.
much in favor of it if we wanna do it another time. I couldn't this
Do you think we
Thursday
can
night.
make it happen before the end of June, or is it too short notice? Cause I think
I
July
think
and August
it's-
are hard.
Yeah,
That's
I was gonna push it back till September.
Okay,
Mhm. I think it's a
Because we're at
wonderful thing
graduations
to
now,
have,
so
for sure.
people are heading out of town and everything.
Appreciate it. Gives us more time for planning as well, for everyone.
Mhm.
Thank you. That was it for me.
And then to answer your question, I think I'm free after Thursday night.
so like Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Sure.
Okay.
Vince?
I'm okay for now. Is there an executive session tonight? There is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Carla?
So I did attend the planning commission meeting, and there was quite a turnout based on the Riverton project. There was good discussion. There was some confusion about sort of what we were doing, what the town was doing, and what really the point of the grant was, or what the point of the project was, and it's basically, Tony did a very good job, the chair of the planning commission, Tony, God, I can't even think of his name.
Snow?
Snow, he did a very good job of explaining and giving some background and, anyway, so that was, the biggest part of the meeting. I did ask questions about the ice rink and the recommendation to close it. And I think that, how do I say this? I think that a large part of the motivation for that was because they don't see the value in doing sort of the major reconstruction of the rink without, it being the full project, because it's so costly just to put the pad down. So it doesn't go over the bond amount, but it might if you put in the compressor, whatever you need to later on,
Oh, the plumbing.
yeah, so, but I think the planning commission would like to see more support for the activity from the select board, I'm just gonna say, and that, the budgets have been, we don't give a lot of money to this is why I'm here, I'm paraphrasing, but, we did significantly cut the planning commission budget last year, and, the rink's been being done all these years with volunteers, and I think that there's this sense that, and this is really more me taking this away, not necessarily coming out and being said. So this is my impression, that they would appreciate maybe more resources dedicated toward the activity, if we were gonna continue with it.
Because I received an email from the rec committee this weekend asking if the highway crew was gonna take down
Right.
the board. So it looks to me like they're in favor of dismantling it.
Yeah, absolutely, because they said it's not safe. No, ideally, at this point, we would either have to, I don't know what the options are, because I didn't get that from them. They didn't say they thought there was a temporary option, they said it's not off the table, they're gonna still look for funding for the project as a whole. There was a discussion about the possibility of using some of the extra local options tax, to, over time, and I didn't think of it at the time, but I feel like that after just having the vote didn't, turn down, I don't think that that's something that the select board can just decide to do, to allocate that money that way. I didn't have that conversation, it was just sort of an idea that was thrown out there. But anyway, they're definitely looking for funding and they want the project to go forward, but there's a hold. It's put in this, and at this point, they're saying that the rink is not safe with the boards the way they are. So that's why they're recommending shutting it down.
I feel with a project of that size, we do them in phases, it's, and I know they're not, they wouldn't be excited about that.
The problem is that the bond vote specifically spoke to solar canopy.
Yeah,
So can the pad be built with that money when it's not building the solar canopy? I think it's a legal question, is why
Okay.
they're really thinking that we can't move forward with just that work. That's not what was presented to the voters when they agreed to the bond. So I think that, that whole, I think at this point, it really has to be transparent and it has to be, a voter approved activity, any kind of funding for it, if we're going to allocate money to it. That's based on what has happened, so. It's tough, because I do think, they're they were all very excited about the project, and I could see that, when it first came through, and, thought it would add a lot to the town, and I think the whole committee is very disappointed. But ultimately, that the vote was the vote, and we have to sort of honor that, I think.
I think it's also incumbent on the boards and committees, they're asked for their budget inputs every year, and we get what we get from them. And we don't mess around with it too much. We did a little bit with the planning commission, but rec, we didn't even think twice, we just passed on what they put in for, so.
I think we cut theirs some too, but.
I don't think we did, not the rec, but they've got to start thinking ahead, and they need to start presenting a budget proposal as well, and not just going with what's done every year before. And ultimately make a defense of it as well.
And, I somewhat agree with you, if we're gonna have big projects like that, the budget should reflect that. Maybe it's a 5-year plan, maybe it's a 3-year plan, we talk bike trails all the time, we talk this now, right? There's a lot of money involved in any of those now. What's it look like, what do we want it to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Well, that's another concern, that we're spending a lot of money on all these studies and bike paths and road diets,
Yeah.
and we never move forward with any of them.
Yep.
These are majorly big ticket items, which I think somebody has a pipe dream for, without any real plan on getting them done.
Yeah.
Looks good to have all these studies, but at the end, we're not gonna implement anything, we're just wasting our money.
Yeah. And
Sometimes
there
maybe-
are
sometimes
grants out
thinking-
there, they usually have a match.
Right.
Sometimes
But-
thinking smaller might be better, instead of having these
Little bit at a
20
time.
different, scoping studies and stuff, maybe just do 1 or 2 projects at a time.
Point well taken.
It's hard though, because you're applying for things, not knowing if you're gonna get them.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's
Well,
not
that's
as
one of the
easy as,
challenges.
as just limiting it to
Right.
2 studies,
Mhm.
because you might get no money if you only apply for 2 studies. So it's a bit more complicated than that. And I think that we went through a spell there where we got a lot of projects because we had gotten the town center designation. You know, there was a lot to look at in terms of the roads surrounding it and trying to get that, you know, that path was sort of a big selling point in the town center. Sorry, go
I'll
ahead.
let you finish, cause you just
No.
made me think of something.
So I
Right,
think,
You know, I don't think we're done with the town center deal
we're not,
yet,
We're not.
right?
we're
We got
definitely not.
3-something acres over there that, was it 5 or 10 years, we're supposed to have some sort of office, town office, located in that area, on
oh,
that
you mean
property.
because, based on destination?
presence,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Right, so that's, there's another cost there, it's gonna come at some point, and we're
I
not,
mean, it
we're
can
not
be in
talking
the
and we're not
mall,
planning.
but,
It could be, right?
Right, that was
but
an option.
ideally we would have
But
some
we should
sort
have a
of-
plan,
Yeah.
right? It- Either in the mall or on the property, it's gonna cost
Yeah.
us something.
Yeah, but bottom line is I am gonna try, you know, I kinda took a break from the planning commission, I'm gonna try to attend regularly so that I'm more aware and can bring back things to the board. Plus, I did talk about the need for, representation when an issue comes up, cause there was a lot of people that were disappointed about the bridge issue and the sidewalk, and I said, well, all I was listening to was AOT tell me that it met their standards for walkability, it was, you know, I said I didn't have anybody else in the room telling me anything different, so I believed what they told me and that was the way I voted. So, I've agreed to try to be more, if I, you know, if there's something that's coming up that I can inform the planning commission, look, you need to send somebody or you should, you know, so I'm gonna work with them a little bit better on that. That's all I got.
Has there been any additional updates or new information regarding any potential for a post office in Berlin? That was discussed back when, just curious if there's anything more, no?
No, I think, in fact, I reached out to Representative Ballant earlier this year that to at least get a zip code. And they're looking at it even though there's half a dozen other bills out there in Congress to do the same thing in other parts of the country, but we receive her emails every day of what she's been doing, and zip code's not on it.
When you get the checks, those 2 checks that came for the local options tax, is there any included report that shows the businesses that are included in that? I still am very curious about the ones that have addresses that
Yeah.
are considered Berry versus
I
Berlin.
made that request before and was turned down.
I appreciate all your efforts. Yeah.
Tori, you have anything?
No.
No? I stopped down at the Payne Turnpike North, checked out the bridge
Oh.
project.
I was thinking that a few minutes ago. How's it looking?
It's coming along, the bridge is in place, they still have to, lift it a little bit on one side and shift it some, but they're gonna be, they're on track, they're doing 10+ hours a day.
Wow.
But they're on track to have it open, I guess, for June 9th,
June
Great.
9th. Oh,
Exciting.
so.
I saw it through Henry's eyes.
Yes.
He's in favor.
So that's all I have. Executive session?
Okay. Got a 2-parter. I move to make a finding of premature